by any, I don't think any schedule in the NFL is easy, unless you're Cleveland, which you already know what might happen. You can include the Bears in that conversation.
Oh, that is the Browns.
They finish up at Miami. That could be another one. So, look, this team.
You happen to see the report that there's a warrant? Not to interrupt. I'm sorry, but it just came to mind when you brought up the Browns and the mistake on the lake and just every catastrophe that is everything associated with the Browns will turn to shit. Did you see there's a report? I guess there's a warrant out for Josh Gordon.
I did, and that's it, part of the conversation. So I guess let's just use that and steamroll into our picks. I did see that. I think it had something to do with a baby mama.
Child support issues. Hey, man.
Year and a half. So who knows? But I don't believe that's something that's going to affect his playing time. It's as I understand it, it's not I don't want to say it's not a felony.
Well,
I don't know whether it is or not, but
it's probably not paying child support because he can't work because he's always fucking up.
That's right. Wasn't he selling cars in Cleveland for a little while?
He was, yeah. He was like a spokesman or like an honorary salesman or something ridiculous like that. Yeah.
He had to go somewhere I can see where that can help a business.
Well, he's not making big time NFL money. I mean, this kid was taken in the supplemental draft. I mean, he wasn't signed to by our standards, it would be a nice contract, but by NFL standards, that's not a big contract, especially when, a lot of these guys have guys that cling on to them, people that, you take care of this person, that well can run dry very quick. So,
yeah, no kidding, especially you start popping out kids with different mamas all the time and not paying them. But let's move on to a couple other things, especially Cleveland Browns related here. This is kind of interesting. Terrell Pryor, did you hear about him? I don't want to get into it too much, but he had commented that he was getting ready to, I guess he busted a finger or something, sprained a finger, and he said he'd cut it off to help the Browns win. And look, I appreciate that. I think that, Ronnie Lott was a badass when he did it, but that was for a playoff game. And you guys are going to go 1-15 maybe. So don't cut off a finger for it, Terrell. You're a super athlete. Stay super. Get good at being a wide receiver. Don't cut your fingers off.
Yeah, don't do that. It's one thing for a free, even if we're going there. I mean, it's one thing for a free safety, strong safety, whatever, to cut his finger off. Receivers, you kind of need those.
Don't do that.
They're kind of vital to catching the ball, brother.
Whatever you're thinking about doing, don't do that.
I mean, I don't think Terrell Pryor seriously considered it. I just think it was something he said. No, I would hope not.
I would hope not, too. It was worth bringing up. But let me ask you a fantasy aspect. We, in the preseason, pre-draft for a lot of things, had a long discussion about Todd Gurley and why you wouldn't take him number one overall. Gurley travels to Tampa this weekend, and we'll get right into the picks with this. But Gurley travels to Tampa this weekend. Do you start him in not daily fantasy, but in your family league, your office league? If you've got Todd Gurley, you took him 1, 2, 3, 5 overall. Do you start him this weekend against the Bucs on the road?
Well, that all depends. It depends who else is on your roster. That depends what other matchups. Matchups always come into play. But I'm going to go ahead and say yes because you made the investment. You took him number one overall at the very latest in the first round, maybe pick number 3. You're invested. Yeah. This is your guy. This is your first round pick. You got to ride it out and see what happens. Maybe by like week 5, 6, 7, when chances are your team's probably not very good. Maybe you can start considering it now, but you got to ride the wave. If you want my opinion, man, you got to ride the wave right now and just play it out, see what happens.
Well, then leading up to that, they're playing the Buccaneers in Tampa. The Rams are a 4.5-point underdog on the road. Who do you like?
I like Tampa.
You do?
I like Tampa. You're going to have the Jeff Fisher to cover the 4.5. Yeah, because that's not a very high number. I say they win by a touchdown. I like Tampa. I think they're better. I think Jameis Winston will have a good day at home against Rams team. And this is a Rams team that's not going to be able. I don't care who they're playing. They're just going to have a lot of trouble moving the ball and scoring. And on the road, that could be detrimental.
Sure. I'm going to take the flip side of that. I'm going to take the Rams in the 4.5.
You're a Jeff Fisher loving son of a bitch. You always were.
I know. I can't help it. I love the mustache. I don't know how good or how bad this Rams team is. This is a long-ass road trip for them to come cross-country into Tampa. I think Gurley does get off today. He has not had a good year. Let's be honest. I think he hasn't even eclipsed 100 yards in 2 games. He got 36 carries, 98 yards.
That's got to be disturbing if you took him number one overall.
Well, if you watched a little bit, he hasn't gotten to the second level. He's popped one run of 11 yards. It's his longest in the season. Look for the Buccaneers defense. It's pretty banged up, man. You got shoulder injuries and linebackers, guys that aren't going to be hitting like they could be. I don't think that Tampa loses this game, but I don't know that they cover that 4.5 points. Then again, too, I also took the Houston Texans the other night. So I'm going to take the 4.5 with the Rams just to go on the other side of you and see what happens. Gurley shows up, gets a touchdown, pops one in. Case Keenum throws 2 picks and loses by 3. So.
Okay.
Let's go to another shitbag ball game that neither one of us want to watch, but you probably can't help but turn on. Cleveland Browns make the trip to South Beach. They're getting.
Oh, you're right about that. That will not get any play on my TV. But yeah, that is one game. I'm gonna go with home. I don't mean to be the homer jumping on favorites already off the bat, because in the NFL your chances are you're probably better off taking the points most times. Especially I got it at 10.
9.5.
But
on a points in the NFL.
I gotta go with the Dolphins at home. I hate this team. I think they're junk, but I'm gonna roll with them at home. You got Cody Kessler in there. You don't know anything about him. The Browns are just in shambles right now, and they're going to be the entire season. I'm going to roll with Tannehill. If you're Miami, this is again when you're looking at Ryan Tannehill going, look, kid, if you cannot do this for us at home against this team, there is a problem.
Yeah, it's garbage. I hate to tell you, I'm going to jump in with you. I don't like to do it, but I'm going to take Miami in the 9.5 as well. Not like a 5-star play by any stretch here, but Miami should beat them by 2 touchdowns. If they do not, like you just said, then Tannehill's no good. Fantasy implications, especially daily fantasy. I love Ryan Tannehill in this game. I love Jarvis Landry, and I also like Jordan Cameron to make an appearance and catch a touchdown, maybe be a red zone target once or twice in this game.
Jarvis Landry, I like that kid in almost any situation. He can flat out play.
He's a football player. You do see Arian Foster is out. And Jay Ajayi will be starting, and I don't like Jay Ajayi. I don't know that Miami does either. But I'm going to take Miami in the 9.5.
Jay Ajayi, who's that?
Right? They forgot it.
Who's that?
Kevin McAllister. Another bad game. How do you want to hit it? You want to hit a bad game? You want a bad game?
Might as well get him out of the way.
All right, let's get him out of the way. I don't know. I have my feelings on this game too, but Baltimore travels to Jacksonville.
Baltimore traveling to Jacksonville.
To see what they're made of. Look, last year Baltimore had absolutely the worst secondary in the NFL. They were right there in the conversation with the Giants and the Saints. Baltimore got torched week in and week out. I don't think they got much better. I don't care what they added. I just don't think they did. Jacksonville, 0-2. They took an ass beating out in San Diego. They're going to come home. I got this game as a pick 'em. I've seen it move from Jacksonville actually being.
Yeah, I have the Jags getting a point at home. Same tomato. But
I've got it. Yeah, it really is. But I got it moved to a pick 'em right now. I like Jacksonville to win this game. I like Jacksonville, believe it or not, to win this game handily. I think they either show up, and if they do not show up, I think that Gus Bradley's ass is on fire if they don't show up. This is a very talented offense.
So we will agree on the. Yeah, we will agree on this one all day. I actually love the Jaguars to win this game at home. I think Baltimore. I said this on our earlier show, I believe on our Tuesday show, and I'm going to stick to it. I think the Ravens are crazy overrated. I think they're a product of playing a Buffalo Bills team who I think Rex Ryan has. I suspect Rex Ryan has lost that locker room.
Sure.
And I think he will be gone. And they're not. Then they have to go play Cleveland Browns against a terrible Cleveland Browns team, and they struggle with them. So right. I think Baltimore is terribly overrated. I like the Jags at home.
Gotcha. Mark for the Jags at home. Fantasy implications on this game. I love Blake Bortles. I think that Allen Robinson, it's his time to finally show up. He is questionable, but hopefully able to play. I'm always scared to start a questionable player because it does indicate that he might be banged up, and it could just be a deke too. Who knows?
I tell you what, a guy I'm liking. I know I just went on a soliloquy about how the Ravens suck and they're overrated, but I will say one thing: pleasant surprise so far this year. Get a talented guy like Mike Wallace, a decent quarterback, and Joe Flacco, and the kid can put up numbers. So far, so good with him.
That's a great call, especially against his defense. And you're right. This is a quarterback who can hit Mike Wallace down the field. He's a better player in Baltimore. Harbaugh's a better offensive coach too. But no, I like it. I do like Mike Wallace as a nice fantasy pick. He could be very interesting. I like any Jaguar receiver, especially Julius Thomas. He's a mid-price tight end.
Mike Wallace kind of fell off for a minute, but look at where he's been. He's been to Miami and Minnesota, dilutive quarterbacks. When he was in Pittsburgh, people tend to forget. When he was with Ben Roethlisberger, this kid was putting up numbers.
Oh, he was one of the best. Well, I remember they let him go, and everybody thought, "What are you doing?" Well, look,
exactly because that's just what the Rooneys do. Because they're very good, like the Patriots. They see a kid we have in Antonio Brown who is better than you, and we don't have to pay him nearly as much. How about that?
Anyway. Yeah, no kidding.
Yep.
So, okay, you mentioned Rex Ryan. Let's jump into that game now. We both take the Jaguars in the previous talk. Arizona travels to Buffalo. Buffalo 0-2. Arizona 1-1, a very good-looking football team by all accounts once you saw what they did to Tampa in Arizona last week. Going to play the Buffalo Bills, I think you're right. I think Rex and Rob have both lost this team. He lost that team the moment he hired Rob Ryan. Players in the NFL are not stupid. They all talk to each other. It's like any other world that people talk to each other. They know what the people upstairs are doing. And they know that Rob Ryan's a shitty defensive coordinator. This was a mistake. It's nepotism. I think he lost that locker room the moment he hired his brother. I don't think that Rex and Rob Ryan make it to Week 8.
And how weak of a move – I'll still stand by how weak of a move it is to go after getting torched by Ryan Fitzpatrick, who many deem as a middle-of-the-road average quarterback for 400 yards on a defense that's on a unit that's supposed to be your specialty, Rex. I mean, aren't you a defensive guy? And your offense broke some big plays and looked okay at times, and you go and fire your offensive coordinator? Not your brother? Not the leader of a unit who got torched by a quote-unquote average quarterback? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like it. That game's lined up at 3.5, as Arizona being a 3.5-point dog, or a 3.5-point favorite in Buffalo. I'm still taking Arizona. I actually like this as part of my teaser pack, and we'll get to the second team up next here on the teaser pack. But I like Arizona to win this game outright and handily. Buffalo's not any good. It's over.
I'm rolling with you. I don't care. When we talked about desperation for the Bills, I really don't care. You're playing a better football team. I don't care. I know there's factors into it. I know the kind of consensus is if a team at home is getting 6 points, most of the time in the NFL that's room to jump on that. But I don't think so in this case. I just think it's going to come down to the better football team, and I think Arizona goes in there and beats that ass.
I gotcha. All right, man, next game up. Detroit Lions travel to Green Bay. Green Bay is a 7-point home favorite. Over-under here, 47.5. So you look to see some points. You look to see Green Bay bounce back and dominate. They've owned the Detroit Lions for the last decade. I don't see any reason why they don't. This is my second half of that teaser play. I like to tease Arizona back across to plus 3.5. And I enjoy the Green Bay Packers at -1 on the tease here. Yeah, I mean, Green Bay laying a point at home in Lambeau. I don't know. I like it. I like it quite a bit.
Love the Packers. Love the Packers in this game. Detroit's defense, this is a great pick-me-up game for Aaron Rodgers. He's going to come out there with a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
I think so. And Detroit's defense is terrible. They can't stop anybody.
Should be fantasy.
I'm all over the cheeseheads in this game. All over it. Aaron Rodgers. Talk about fantasy. Play, start Aaron Rodgers all day long. Start Jordy Nelson. Start Devontae Adams. You have them. They're going to put on a show tomorrow.
I'll tell you what, I would sit the hell out of Randall Cobb. I have him in one league, and I am benching him.
Notice I didn't bring him up. I said Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams.
I'm glad you didn't, because I would have disagreed. I think that you're right with those two receivers. I think they'll become part of that game early and often. And I do think that if they don't get Randall Cobb involved early, he just disappears. He's the invisible man lately on that team, and Devontae Adams is stepping up in front of him, so he may actually be a nice spot start on DraftKings. Mentioning DraftKings, make sure you guys out there listening go and follow the emails we've sent or tweet your emails to @TL317, and I will send you an invitation to our DraftKings tournament. It's $3 to enter. You get to play against us and everybody else who's jumping in $3. Jump in, and maybe next week we'll do another one for $5 if this one works out well, or we'll do one for $1 if it doesn't. But it's a winner-take-all pot, and like I said, tweet it to me at @TL317, and I will be happy to shoot you the invite and jump in, play on DraftKings, get all signed up and have some fun, and we'll move on, Joe. Next game on the list, let's knock out a couple shitty ones here. And this is a typical shitty West Coast division game. San Francisco 49ers at the Seattle Seahawks. Go first, 15 seconds, go.
Oh, man. I'm really up in the air and undecided.